So great to be here. As Kathy said, I am Deb Mexicotte from Arts Engine, and Arts Engine is an interdisciplinary initiative set up by and supported by the 5 North Campus schools and colleges: Art and Design, Architecture and Urban Planning, School of Music, Theater and Dance, the College of Engineering, and the School of Information. And our mission is to inspire and foster and strengthen intellectual collisions and durable collaborations across art, design, engineering, and technology, primarily on North Campus. So when you hear that mission, you can understand that being a part of Experiments in Translation and the opportunity to foster and mentor and support interdisciplinary teams that are trying to communicate using new and interesting and technology-based communication platforms. I mean, it's just a dream come true. So, but I took a little different approach this evening in that what I wanted to do, since I had students in the audience who were thinking about moving forward with a letter of intent, and because this was going to be then on the web, I thought that I would speak, as I was asked to, on collaboration and give a mini 6-minute workshop on collaboration so that student teams, when they were viewing this, could get maximize their success right from the start. So I'm going to give you all a mini collaboration workshop. Bear with me. I'm sure there'll be more interesting speakers later. So we have our team in place, so smooth sailing. We have lots of experience with team collaborations, and we know a lot goes right with team collaborations, but a lot goes wrong as well. And we tend to focus when we get started on sort of the logistical and organizational pieces of communication or time management, leadership, shared goals. You've all done this. But maximizing success requires more than just setting out the logistical course that will meet this often, that will have these milestones. Preparation and anticipation is key. So where do we begin when we start to collaborate? The typical first steps in team collaboration: you plan a timeline, you set your outcome, you set up your meetings, you figure out who the subcommittees are going to be, you order your food. That's what I do. But there are 3 important questions that should be asked right from the beginning. Who do we have on the team, and are they sufficient to the task? And what do they bring, and what are we lacking? What will we do when inevitable conflicts arise? And how and when will we renegotiate through our collaboration? So we start with who is at the table, and do we need another place setting? So we want to do a couple of things when we first get started. We want to see who's on the team, our asset mapping, expertise, experience, leadership and mentorship roles. We also want to look at the diversity of that team, the demographic diversity for sure, but the disciplinary diversity, the generational diversity, and perhaps the affiliations and those networks that our team members might be able to bring to this collaboration. So recognizing your team's assets is the first step. So early identification of team assets is key. What do the members bring? We have to unpack their skills and expertise, and that's their academic, vocational, and avocational skills, but also their connections and affiliations, and their interests, their passions, their explorations. And what do members want out of this collaboration? Of course, they want the outcome that you're all driving for. But they might have individual goals and ambitions, and we can generate opportunities for them without jeopardizing the outcomes. Team diversity also matters in maximizing success because diversity is multifaceted, literally. We have demographic diversity we need to look at, experiential diversity, and disciplinary diversity, which is an area where Arts Engine is particularly interested. So having a people often ask me, why does having a cross-disciplinary team matter? Well, research shows that if you have low overlap in skills and discipline or high overlap, those aren't as effective as when you have sort of that middle place where you have people that can connect on certain levels but also diverge in important ways. Studies show that cross-disciplinary teams produce more publications and publish in more diverse venues. Well, that's great. But they generate more innovative products than comparative teams. That's the place where we really want to look. So, who are we missing? We want to look for additional team members if we are missing certain expertise or experience. We want to reach out to team partners and allies, and partners in the community, partners of the places. And project allies can be people who just help out when they're asked. Conflict will happen. Conflict can destroy a team that hasn't spent time learning to deal with it. Conflict is indeed inevitable and should be accepted, understood, and addressed. You should plan for and build in strategies that deal with conflict early. You want to nip conflicts in the bud while they're small, before they get to be sort of team exploding enterprises. We want to make sure everyone knows and contributes to the plan on how conflict will be dealt with. We want to reinforce that conflict is expected and important, and address, as I said, them at the earliest possible points. So it's important to identify the actual sources of conflict. Conflict of ideas and approaches, that's par for the course. I would like to do it this way, you would like to do it that way. That seems pretty straightforward. But there are sources of conflict that we call are below the waterline. Conflicts arising from structural or organizational concerns. Perhaps the meetings aren't set up appropriately, or perhaps team members aren't able to structurally function in the way that the organization was set up. Conflicts might arise from interpersonal interactions. We tend to go there first rather than looking at the structural or organizational. Sometimes people don't get along, and we need to sort of address that. And sometimes there are challenges that arise intrapersonally. Some team members having difficulties with academics or with outside concerns, and that can influence and impact the team. So understanding where a conflict occurs will better allow you to properly resolve the issue. So renegotiation should be planned for and expected, because things change. We don't just set a team in motion and expect it's going to come to an outcome. That has to be expected, that there are going to be things along the way that cause us to change. The starting point can see the ending point, but cannot predict the path or actual outcome. Planning to renegotiate team positions, norms, assumptions, the timeline or success measures is imperative, even if nothing changes. We have to talk about it, even if we continue on the same path. Declaring something that is non-negotiable does not bend time and space. You can declare it, but is it really the case? And finally, building renegotiation time into meetings, milestone markers, and upon request should be an initial collaboration step. So taking the time to prepare the team for success will maximize the overall success. Early in your collaboration, you should proactively identify team assets and any needed team diversity or partners. Recognize that team members' individual goals and aspirations should factor into this process as well. You should talk about and understand strategies for dealing with inevitable conflict. Address the expectations for renegotiation in meeting and timeline planning. And you might attend an experiments in translation collaboration workshop with your team, or schedule a workshop with Arts Engine, because we would be happy to come and help your team get off to the best start possible. Thank you.